now that we've tuned on the car, we know she's running strong. Before we test on the exhaust, we're going to put in a special shifter called a Rallye Shifter, and it also is a stock GM shifter, but it allows you a little more control over shifting the gears.
Hard bass.
Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to put our Rallye Shifter in our car, aka ratchet shifter. And what it does is it's got a lever in it, and you can push it over like this. That would be second gear, and then third, and that way you don't miss the shift, like if you're trying to do this, going up forward. So, just panning in right here, you can see right in here, here's the extra mechanism that the Rallye shifter gets that the stock 3-speed floor-mounted shifter doesn't get. And it's got two detents, or catches, one here and here. So what happens is you can see how there's a spring right here, and what you do is you push the lever over to the right and you push up, and as you push up it catches that first detent and stops it. You see it's got a little bit of a spring-loaded thing here to kind of absorb the energy as you push forward, and then you let it go back, and then when you go to shift up into high, you push it over again and go up like that. And that's how the Rallye shifter works. Alright, so just showing a non-Rallye shifter, you can see it doesn't have, I'm going to pull all the way down into low, you can see it doesn't have that feature to move over. And it's probably a feature that a lot of people don't realize they may already have on their second-gen Camaro. So just like if you're trying to shift this thing, speed shift it, the problem I've always had with this style is you end up skipping second and going right into drive, especially if you get excited. So having that Rallye shifter is going to really make a difference when we're trying to do our timed blasts from maybe 15 to 50 or 55 miles an hour. And it's going to be a lot easier to do that because we are going to have to do at least one upshift when we're doing that. Sitting in the 78 Camaro, just showing you how the Rallye shifter works. I'm going to just come over here and just hit it. You can just move it over like this. You see the lever go over like that. And then you just push it up once. That would be second gear. And then, boom, third. Really easy positive engagement. And it was a feature I didn't know I had on this car the first 2 years I owned it. Very cool. All right, let's start tearing into this thing. Hardest part of the whole job is getting this snap ring off inside the shifter. Always a joy. There we go. You can see I tacoed this one. I usually keep spare ones. It's a standard snap ring that'll hold it back in. I just got to pop this plate off for easy access. There's a clip right here. That's a ground for the console light too, I think. Get that off. I'm going to reuse this mount because the shifter that I got on eBay didn't come with it. And you can see what I got to do here. I've got to undo the shift cable right here, and then I've just got 4 bolts. One here, one on the opposite side, and then I got the ones in the rear here, and the shifter comes right out. Piece of cake. This whole pin rotates so I can line up the key. Just come in with a small screwdriver, lift the key out, then I can remove this. Oh, this grease is stiff. And then my shift cable's now out of the way. And I tell you what, just grabbing the shift cable, it is really, really stiff. Wow, that's really stiff. I can't even get it to go back. Wow, that's a stiff cable. Ooh, boy, that's stiff. We may have to take this cable out and grease it too. I don't know. Let's see what we do. There we go. One on each side in the front, one on each side in the back, and I'll just spray you taking all these out, and we'll get this thing out. Okay, let's just do a side by side and let's see what the big difference is between these two. All right, here's the Rallye Shifter, and you can see again there's the mechanism and there's the detents. And you're looking at this one, it just came out of the car and there's no detents there. And it looks like to me this actually missing a plate. This actually has a plate here that's not present on this one. So they actually removed content on these at some point. I believe these were first introduced on Pontiacs, like 1970 Pontiacs, because I think the Camaros were still using the horseshoe or stirrup shifters, I think through 72. So this must have been a cost-cutting move at some point. And again, I don't know if they did that in the Pontiacs as well, or if they made it optional. I'm not really sure how that worked, but definitely this is a pretty crappy shifter compared to this one. Although I wish this one was as shiny as the one I took out of the car. This car has led a charmed life. Inside of the car has never been wet. We've had the car since it was 8 years old. It's been garage most of its life. And kind of interesting, there's a date code here, because the green car is a 79, and that looks like 1479, and this one looks like 4/13/78. How about that? So I guess we're putting one in that's just a little bit older. And that little bit of surface rust, if you notice, because of the carpet and stuff, the way it kind of absorbs moisture, this part of it's just as crappy as the other one. The only thing that doesn't look as pretty is this is just a little scrunchier, but not bad. It's definitely not going to hurt anything. I'm super happy with this. And I guess if you were really fussy about putting the same date-coded shifter back in the car, you could actually drive the pins out on this, and you could take the plate out and could just swap the internals and still have the same date-coded shifter. But I'm not that anal. Cool. Let's get this thing in. Okay, I'm having a problem. The ratcheting part of the shifter really isn't working the way I had hoped, is because this cable is so stiff. It's so hard to pull this back and forth that it takes up, it makes the shifter flex so much. This cable just does not want to move. It's really stiff. So what's supposed to happen is when I push this lever over, this cam is going to contact this notch right here to try to go into high. And then you see this pawl right here is supposed to engage the gate on this side, which would be the the normal gate you would use this way. And there's just enough play that when this happens just like that, this pawl is supposed to drop into that ramp. And there's just not enough to let it go. This is how much farther I have to go to actually get it to go into the catch the drive. That much farther. So you see how much farther this cam is up from that notch on the frame. So it's too stiff. So fortunately, we have two of these Camaros, since now both of them have his and her shifters. Unfortunately, the his side on this one isn't working. I'm going to show you guys how it's supposed to work in the gold Camaro with the cable that's not stiff. And that way I think I know I'm doing the right thing by changing out the cable on this. Okay, sitting in the old gold Camaro again. Watch what happens when I move the shifter over. I'm shifting from second to third, so second to high. I'm going to come over and you can see that teeth on the his part of the shifter, the ratchet part. It grabs that tang, and then I go forward, and you hear it click into place. So it's actually engaged the ramp here like it's supposed to, and then when you let it go, you don't have to. It's in drive, so you'd have to pull this down again to pull it back into second. And just doing it real quick, ka-dunk, it goes in, and this cable moves very freely. Like it just goes right into neutral, right into park. You don't have to tug on it. It just goes right in. And you see how much play is in the shifter? It's the same play as the other shifter. The problem is that cable is so stiff, it just doesn't allow it to work properly, because you can see it only has to, this thing only swivels just a little bit to let that go into gear. Try it one more time, I'll show you guys. Click. And that's it. So let's get the new cable in the other one and see if I can get that thing working. Alright, we're going to use a Pioneer Automotive CA1103 replacement cable. Looks identical to the General Motors one. And this one works very freely. It takes just a little bit of pressure to make it go back and forth. And as an added bonus, they gave you some really nice vintage artwork on the back of the box. That's straight out of the 50s. You remember the Visible V8? That's probably the same guy that did that. So, a minor problem I ran into is I'm trying to get this cable attached to the shifter after I had it bolted into the car. And look at that. It doesn't go all the way through the hole, which means you can't get the retaining clip on. Okay, after a little bit of blacksmithing, let's see how it does. Yep, fits flush, and now I can get my retaining clip in. Good old aftermarket. And I also noticed the detent rail is broken, which is probably not a huge deal. That's just where part goes. But I cannot get this detent cam and gate to match on both sides. So I don't know if this one was never right. Looks like they only rivet in one way. There's a locating nub right there, and then there's just a rivet on each side holding in the Rallye Shifter plate. You can see even this one's got the hole for the Rallye Shifter plate. The holes are already there. And this one doesn't have a broken shift rail. Okay, the broken shift gate, now it's all kind of coming together because the detent pin for the shift gate is also bent. So evidently this must have got slammed into park really hard one time, and that's the result. So that pin is bent backwards, and that's why when you try to slap shift it, the pin doesn't line up with the gate, because the pin is bent back about 1/4 of an inch. It should be straight up, should be in line with the lever. Nice. Another quality Evil Bay product. Okay, this is the end the shift knob goes on. That's the end that goes into the detents in there. All those detents right there. And you can see that one's broken, the big crack, and that's probably out of dimension because of that, and it's also a little floppy. There's the one that's not broken. And this really should be perfectly in line with itself, so you can see how far that got bent over when it was slammed into park, which is probably what broke that in the first place. And I'm sure the guy that sold us on eBay probably just picked this up at a wrecking yard or something, or was parting out a car. I'm sure he had no idea that was the case. And I couldn't tell at first glance either. I'm sure it was sold in good faith, but just, you know, that typical Evil Bay crap, right? It seems like I have about 1 out of 3 deals seems to go this way. Anyway, I'm going to try to heat this up with a torch and just kind of fold it back over. I know if I try to just bend it back, I'm pretty sure this is a hardened piece of steel, and it's going to snap if I do that. And I'll try to just heat it where the bend is and try not to get the head of it too hot, because that's a wear surface. So even if I weaken this a little bit, as long as I don't use guerrilla force on it, it should be just fine. I got her cherry red. I took a pair of vice grips and worked it back into shape. So I think that looks pretty close to inline. I think she's got just a little bit of a crook, but I'm not really sure that's going to make much of a difference. I think we're okay. We'll let that cool off for a little bit, and I think I'll probably just put it back together in the same crappy one with the crack gate for now, just to see if it'll work. And if I know that rod's good, I think I'm going to give it the full Monty. All right, I'm going to call that pretty straight. Let's see how it does. Oh yeah, let's see if it catches high. Yep, now it works. Hallelujah. Okay, it did take a little while to figure out where the part numbers were on these shifters. So just coming in and looking at our new to the car Rallye Shifter, manufactured April 13th, 1978. I did find what I think is a part number. Looks like 4287894. And then on the original shifter out of the car, dated January 4th, 1979. It looks like this one has, again, as you can see it, 03127932. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's got 8 digits. Looks like this other one only had 7. So that must maybe it's a serial number instead. Maybe, I don't know. Unless I'm missing a digit, I can't see it. 4287894. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many digits here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's got an extra digit, so it does have a 0 in front of it. Maybe they just lost the 0 or added the 0 in 79. I don't know. Maybe it's a serial number. I don't know. That's the only thing I could find on these shifters was the date and then those two numbers. So I don't know. And a little work with the wire brush cleaned up the old one. It actually looks a little better than the original one in the car. Okay, we got it back in the car, and the ratcheting part seems to be working okay-ish. Not super firm positive engagement, but I think it's because of this cable. You can see the cable is larger in diameter than the stock one. I think the stock cable sheath is about 250, and I think this one mics out way over 3, like maybe 370 or 380. And you can see where the bolt on the shifter is grabbing this sheath and running in. You can see the sheath rotate a little bit when it gets into it, and it just gets so tight up against it. I mean, you can't even rotate it when it's up against it. It makes it go into park really hard. It does seem kind of make it a little bit of a challenge when you're upshifting. It's super stiff. I think the cable's longer than the stock one, so it kind of binds up a little bit underneath the car because it has to make a tighter loop because it's longer. I think it's only longer by a little bit, but it's enough that I think that's also causing a binding problem. And even after trimming this retainer clip doesn't fit very well on it. It fit the stock one just fine. It kind of flops around. I don't think it'll fall out, but just not impressed with this setup at all. I'm going to put the stock one back in. I might try lubricating it. Hopefully maybe that'll make it work a little bit better. And then maybe I'll try to scour the internet and see if I can actually find a correct NOS GM replacement one that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, because I think this aftermarket one is garbage. Okay, I'm just coming in. I got a glass jar down here to catch the drops from the cable, and I just took some duct tape. It looks like it's going to leak a little bit on me. Not bad. And I just got this submersed so that it starts sucking the oil down into the cable. I'm just going to flush some oil down through this cable. Okay, now I've got clean 15W40 motor oil flowing completely through the cable, which I hope will mix with whatever grease was left in the cable and maybe kind of re-impregnate that carrier with some oil. And all I did is I just kept working this back and forth. You can actually hear the suction sound as I do it. It's kind of neat. You can see it pumping it out as I do it. There we go. Okay, just showing you real quick. There's the cable coming out of the top of the shift tunnel from the shifter, and then just following it down. You see, I've got it pushed up so it's kind of up against the transmission tunnel, and then following it all the way down to here, where it goes into the transmission, where it hangs on the side. And right in here, it makes a really sharp bend. No matter which way I route it, I get a sharp bend right here. If I route it so that the cable bows outward so that it's laying on top of the cross member, then this part is pulling straight down. And so no matter what I do, I don't have as smooth a transition as I would like, because I think the cable is probably 2 or 3 inches longer than the one it replaces, and it just makes it too long. It just, no matter what you do, it's going to be always kind of bent in a way that it's going to make it bind a little bit. It's just not going to work as freely as it should. You see where I got the transmission in lined up, and of course the replacement one still got the new boot stuck on it. I just kind of slid it down so you can see the ends here where it goes into the shifter, and you can see that's, I'd say that's right around 2 inches difference from this end to that end. Going there to there. Yeah, it's pretty good. That's a pretty good difference right there. Yeah, it says about 2 inches. And also too, while I got it here, I'll just show you the, I was just going to mic this real quick. That mic's out at around 250. And then the one on this one is quite a bit larger. It mics in at almost 325. So this is a lot larger than this, and that's part of the reason why that's not working out. So, you know, factor in the fact that this part doesn't fit very good, and the retainer clip doesn't fit tight in the transmission shifter for whatever reason. The cable's too long. I'm going to say that's a loser. So yeah, maybe they got some universal idea, or maybe this fits more than one car. I don't know what the deal is with that, but it doesn't fit this car. Real quick, just showing you the routing. You can see where it comes up there, and then it loops down, and it goes, just kind of lays on top of the transmission cross member, and then comes down. I guess that's just the factory routing path. And that's the adjuster nut right there. It's slotted, so when you loosen that nut, you can move the cable back and forth on that bell crank, and that's how you get the adjustment so that the detents will line up both upstairs and downstairs. We got the shifter in the car. We got our factory cable hooked back up, and the factory clip fits perfectly. We have proper clearance around the shifter bolts. So let me just grab a hold of it and see how it does. Oh, that feels so much better. You got neutral, goes into neutral super easy. It hits the detent just like it should, right into drive. Second, let me try that again, that was my fault. I'm just gonna bump it, and then boom, right into second. It catches the detent just like it should. Low one, and then just banging it up into second. It catches just like it should. Perfect. Catches it. Perfect. Neutral again. Drive. Park. Reverse. Oh, this feels so much better. Yep, that feels about as good as the other Camaro. So I think I got that dialed in. I'm so excited! Now we can take it out and road test! Okay. Let's give the Rallye Shifter a shot here. We're just coming up to a stop sign, and I'm just going to give her some pedal. All right, that's working good. Now that we knew we got the shifter working like it should, next outing we're going to test and tune on the exhaust. We've got an original pellet style catalytic converter in this car, which I think was actually original to the Gold Camaro. And when they started the emissions testing in Palm Beach County 30 plus years ago, we had to take the headers and the dual exhaust off, and we just switched it back over to a single 305 style exhaust and put my catalytic converter on it. And I think I ended up getting a high flow converter for the Gold one when it had to have that. The Gold one's got 2 1/4 inch dual exhaust now, and during our move from Florida to up here in northern Alabama, I don't know if it got tossed or it seemed like we had a couple of boxes that didn't show up that should have of auto parts, and one of those boxes had that high flow catalytic converter in it. So I would have been happy just to put the high flow cat on it, because it does keep the exhaust kind of quiet. It scrubs the exhaust a little bit. Doesn't really rob much horsepower, but I think we're just going to end up taking this one off and see how it does. We'll test it with and without, and we'll also test it open to see what the difference is. I thought we'd go ahead. We'll just power up one more time. We'll go through the gates one more time. Just going to torque her up just a little bit. Does that pretty good. I think I was a little premature on the upshift. I forget, this car's got 240 gears in the rear, so I think it'll take first gear up to like 55. So I probably should have let up a little bit when I shifted. I would have got an instant shift. We'll find one more spot to play with it a little bit, so we got a nice clean first to second shift with the shifter. Actually, you know what, we'll do it on this twisty road right here. This will be a good one. So I go slow enough on this turn, it'll bring it right down into first. It's already in first gear. So we'll power up this twisty hill. Second. That's 60. I'm gonna get on the brakes here. This is a blind spot right here. Never know who's gonna be backing out. That's why I'm not sure on a lot of these back roads where we want to do our test and tune if I'm going to really end up doing first to second stuff, like 15 to 55 rolling starts. I prefer to do like a 50 to 80 or 50 to 90, but there's just too many side roads and stuff. You never know when somebody in a tractor is going to come pulling out, or a pickup truck. It's just risky business, so we don't want to do anything that's too crazy. Plus, if we're doing like 15 to 55, we can take it over on, what is it, Nick Davis? I think Nick Davis, parts of that's still 55. So we'd actually be legal doing that. But yeah, real happy with the way the shifter works. Did you get some shots of me doing that? Yeah. It turned out, that looked really good. Actually, I can pull down this road and go up. I can do one more if you want. We'll get a shot of that. I think it's better just to go that way, or this is pepper, so it's 45, but that's all right. Yeah, we'll do this one. Come out here just real quick, get a shot going through them one more time. Another hill blocks view. We'll get right on the binders here. To turn off onto, we can get on the Jones from here, right? At the top of the hill? Yeah. That'd be good one to go through the gears slow so we can hear first to second. There's a delay when I shift, but I think it's just because I got my foot so far in it. I don't have a tack, so I don't really know how high the engine's wind up. Probably only turn at like 38 when I'm trying to upshift. let's try that going through the gears one more time, just kind of easy. All right, there we go. I'm just gonna do like maybe a 15 to 50. I was letting up when I did that. Like first and second on these is never instant. Let's try giving it just soft pedal. I think I'm just so not used to getting on this thing. I'm trying to shift it earlier than it wants to shift. I'm trying to manually shift it. So let's just give it just a little easy. There we go, that wasn't bad. And 50 will go into high. Yep, instant. Typical turbo 350 stuff. Alright, I'm happy with that. I don't think we're going to burn the transmission up. I think this thing's adjusted like it should be. Smash that like button. Or you don't have to smash it. You can just push it. Push. Come on and push it. Not feeling it? Give me a like if you want. Or you can leave something in the comments section. Just leave it PG-13. And we'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.